and I'm here in Sacramento, California, at the California Museum of History, and they are exhibiting the Tuskegee Journey to Flight, and we have an array of different pictures and historic artifacts and articles. The one that we're looking at now is the 99th bags 12 Nazi planes near Rome, and Ace Hall runs tally up to 3 in dogfights. And here are some of the individuals that were involved in it. This one here is Lieutenant Robert W. Diaz, and then this one here is Captain Charles Hall. And these are individuals of the Tuskegee Airmen. Here, next to this picture, we also have the female students at the Tuskegee Institute that assist the aviation cadets by sewing patches on their uniforms. And this is just such a beautiful sight to see. And then below we have the flyers of a P-51 Mustang group of the 15th Air Force in Italy. And as you can see, it is such a beautiful array of individuals, and they are dressed to the T to match their discipline as well as their uncompromising allegiance to protecting and preserving the United States of America and beyond. Next, we come to something from one of the oldest newspapers, is the Pittsburgh Courier, and Allies hail flyers cheering daring airmen who outsmarted German fighters with inferior planes. This one was an article on February 12, 1944. And then here we have a beautiful shot of these dedicated men and war heroes who sacrificed their life for freedom and democracy. And this is the graduating class of the 99th Pursuit Squadron Aircraft Mechanics in front of a hangar at Chateau Field in Illinois. And then here's one of the formations for the 4P-51 Mustang flying in formation in Italy, March 1945. 9 missing pilots returned to Air Force Base, and one of them here is Lieutenant Andrew D. Marshall. He came back from the dead. Beautiful. This is also illustrated in the movie called Red Tails, that's out now in movie theaters. That was a project that was put together by Steven Spielberg. It's one of the most beautiful articles that speaks pertaining to the history and the focus and the determination of these so-called Buffalo Soldiers, or Tuskegee Airmen, going out and proving their worth and silencing all the cynics. Now we have this most prestigious and time-collected and decorated uniform that belonged to Tuskegee Airman Robert Matthews. As you can see, they took pride in their dress, in their style, and it is evident that when you look at these uniforms and pictures of these individuals, you see the faces of a changing America in future for a new generation to come. Now we move over to the Western Region Tuskegee Airmen Archive from the University of California, Riverside. And here you have all the different names of the individuals that were part of this movement. Now I will move over to the sponsors of this particular type of display, that is being here held at the California Museum. And here we have just a small insert pertaining to the journey to flight from the Tuskegee Airmen, pertaining to the exhibit about the black participation in the premier unit of the military, the United States Army Air Corps, during World War II, despite an official U.S. Army policy of racial segregation and the use of standardized tests to regulate blacks to minimal labor. It was an advocacy by the black press, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, an aviation enthusiast that led to a civilian pilot training program which evolved into a central training facility at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. And then here we have also some of the first African American female women pilots, which is Bessie Coleman, and also Willia B. Brown. And then also we have here, which is a prize photo here, is First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt with Tuskegee Chief, flight instructor of the 66th Army Air Force flight training, Charles Chief Anderson. This is the one that made headways all over the country and in every African American newspaper, as well as those within DC, New York, and beyond. And this was taken April 19th, 1941. It's beautiful. Now we will next move over to It Took a Team, the Tuskegee Experience. And it talks about the chief, the crew chief, as well as the airmen, and, you know, then the mechanics, and as well as the squadron control tower of these individuals that allowed them to work as a collective unit towards a greater and common goal. This right here is Sergeant William P. Bostic, and he is in the control tower. And then here below we have Benjamin O. Davis Jr., Tuskegee Airman, first Black Air Force General. And then down below we have the beautiful picture here of Lieutenant Colonel Woodrow A. Crockett as they look over and they repair a plane in Italy. And here it is again up top. And then over here we have in there the Meekin Bell, Chief Crew Wilfred DeFore and Lieutenant Lee Archer in front of the P-51, 1944. Then down below we have Edward C. Gleed and two unidentified Tuskegee Airmen, mechanics, of course, no doubt, checking on the gas as well as the gunnery. And then we come over to the photomechanical reproduction paintings of the patches. The first one that we're looking at here is the 100th Fighter Squadron patch, and the second one that we are looking at here, which is a real beauty, is the 301st Fighter Squadron patch. And then the next one that we are looking at is the 302 2nd Squadron Fighter patch. And then the last one that we're looking at is the 99th Fighter Squadron patch. And now we come over to the women of Tuskegee. This one is just such beauty to see them working together for the common good of the country, for a country that they're going to fight for and to give their lives for, a country where they weren't able to eat in the same restaurants or to drink from the same water faucets or to use the same restrooms. Ever present, not always recognized, are the women who contributed to the success of the Tuskegee experiment, as well as the overall World War II effort, domestically and abroad. These, of course, were wives and girlfriends and friends, but also they answered the call to serve in the military, serving as nurses, streamsters, secretaries, parachute riggers, and plane furries, and Red Cross workers. They supported all aspects of it. And here is one of the parachute riggers here. And her name is Alice Dungy Gray. Beautiful person. Took a part in history. And she done what she had to do. And according to her, she would do it all over again. This is a portrait of an Army Nurse Corps Lieutenant and Chief Nurse. And this is Della H. Ranney, First Lieutenant, Chief Nurse. Down below, we have portrait of a wife and nurse, Lieutenant Irma Cameron Dryden. And then we also have portrait of an aircraft repair woman, which is the highest that they can go during that time for any woman, whether white or black. They were able to only reach to the point of being a repair woman or a mechanic. And she served here. She's in this picture with her husband, Arthrina Johnson Carter. She served 3 years in this program, while her husband was actually going through training as a pilot. And then down below, we have portrait of a wife and telephone operator, which is Maxine Hicks Taylor. And down below there's Miss Maxine Hicks again with her grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And then now we come over to the life of a pilot, Edward Lucerne Toppins, coming out of the deep south, out of Mississippi. Had degrees in social sciences and humanities. He was a World War II fighter pilot, and he flew countless missions and volunteered for, when he first came in, he volunteered for the service in 1942. Sacramento chapter is named after George Roberts, and we are in Sacramento now. And this is a picture of Mr. George Roberts, or Spanky, as known to his friends and to those who were endeared to him. He has a degree, a master's degree, in logistics, and then in the social sciences, and was promoted to colonel in 1952. And we have here Roberts, Spanky here, getting a reward from the governor, an honorary reward from the governor. Some of these things here are just priceless. You can't put a price on history when you were told that you weren't able to be anything or to develop into anything, and that you were labeled as an animal and had inferior thinking, as well as the ability to be able to maneuver in the air or in aircraft. Major George S. Spanky Roberts' job after he left the military, he continued his career as a banker for Wells Fargo in Sacramento. And after the war, which is the one of the last exhibits in here, you'll see here President George Bush giving the Congressional Medal of Honor to Dr. Roscoe Brown Jr. during ceremonies honoring the Tuskegee Airmen on March 29th, 2007 at the U.S. Capitol. Dr. Brown, director of the Center for Urban Education and Policy and university professor at the Graduate School and University Center of the University of New York, commanded the 100 Fighter Squadron of the 332nd Fighter Group during World War II. And here, of course, is the cap to all of this. The Tuskegee Airmen Congressional Gold Medal. Gold plated. Wow. One of the highest things that you can receive as a civilian and in duty to your country. It's beautiful.